Welcome to Business Book Club. I'll be sharing highlights I get from the books I read, and then you can decide if you want to pick up your own copy. Today, I'm going to be overviewing The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up by Mark Manson. Technically considered a self-help book, there's a lot of personal philosophy in this book that I enjoy, so it crosses over into personal and business. In a nutshell, the book is about learning how to focus and prioritize your thoughts effectively by choosing what matters to you and what doesn't based on your own personal values. So grab your drink and let's dive in. Chapter 1 is called Don't Try. Whether you realize it or not, you're always choosing what to give up about. When we pursue feeling positive or positive experiences all the time, we become less satisfied. First, because it reinforces the fact that you lack something in the first place. And second, the acceptance of your negative experience is itself a positive experience. So more on that later. When you try to avoid pain, you're giving too many. Deciding what not to give up about will let you focus on what you really care about. It's not about being indifferent. It's about finding something important to care about. Chapter 2, Happiness is a Problem. In order to feel happiness, you also need to feel struggle and have problems. It's useful to help inspire change and keeps us striving for joy because problems never stop. They're hard, they feel bad, so you have to decide what pain are you willing to accept in your life and what are you willing to struggle for. Chapter 3, You Are Not Special. The entitlement mentality. This reminds me of some books that were recommended to me by a child psychologist. One of them was called The Narcissism Epidemic, and the other was Generation Me, both by Jean Twenge. Basically, people are deluding themselves into believing that they're accomplishing great things even when they're not. Most of us are pretty average at most things we do. It is the extremes that get talked about, the best of the best, and it's nonstop. So the vast majority of life, it resides in the middle, but the flood of information has conditioned us to believe that exceptionalism is the new norm, and eventually that leaves us feeling insecure and desperate. The pervasiveness of technology, social media, is inflating a lot of people's expectations for themselves. The inundation of the exceptional makes people feel worse about themselves, makes them feel they need to be more extreme, more radical, more self-assured to get noticed or even to matter for that matter. Mark says being average has become the new standard of failure. We can't all be extraordinary. It's okay to be mundane and unnoteworthy. You'll resist this, but once you accept it, the pressure will be lifted. Chapter 4, The Value of Suffering. Understand your emotions and ask yourself why you feel those emotions, because you can do something to change it if you want to. Then ask why you consider this a success or failure and the standards you're using to judge yourself and those around you. Don't just take a short-term trip to feeling better. Question your thoughts and your values. Chapter 5, You Are Always Choosing. In this chapter, Mark reminds us that we can't always control what happens to us, but we can control how we interpret and what happens to us, as well as how we respond. And even if you choose not to respond, not to interpret, or not to act, that is still a response, interpretation, or action. You're already choosing what to give up about. So change is as simple as choosing what to give. Change is as simple as choosing to give up about something else. It's that simple. It's just not easy. You may feel uncertain, like a failure, nervous, anxiety, pissed off. You might freak out. It's okay. Chapter 6, You're wrong about everything, but so am I. There are 3 key takeaways from this chapter for me. First, we should be in constant doubt about our own beliefs and our own feelings about what the future may hold. Yeah, start looking for how you are wrong all the time, because that opens you up to the possibility of change and growth. Second, we don't actually know what a positive or negative experience is. Some of the most difficult and stressful moments of our lives also end up being the most formative and motivating. We only know what hurts or what feels good in the moment. And the third thing was the more something threatens to change how you view yourself, how successful or unsuccessful you believe yourself to be, or how well you see yourself living up to your values, the more you will avoid it. There is a comfort that comes with knowing how you fit into the world, and anything that threatens that comfort, even if it could potentially make your life better, is scary. Chapter 7 is titled "The Failure is the Way Forward." Avoiding failure is something that we learn in life. We can only be truly successful at something we're willing to fail at. And if we're unwilling to fail, then we're also unwilling to succeed. I love this chapter. Chapter 8 is called "The Importance of Saying No." For all you yes people out there, here it is. The act of choosing a value for yourself requires rejecting other values. So we all must care about something in order to value something. We are defined by what we choose to reject. Honesty requires us to be comfortable with saying and hearing the word no. We are actually often happier with less. So basically, the more options we're given, the less satisfied we become with whatever we choose, because we know there are other options that we have forfeited. So this will make you feel unhappy. Chapter 9, and then you die. This was a very interesting and impactful chapter. Mark tells a story about a friend who dies. And as someone who has avoided thinking about my own death, it put it right there in front of me. Mark talks about our two selves. The first self is the physical self, and the second is our conceptual self. And in order to compensate for our fear of death, we try to construct this conceptual self that will live on forever. Question that conceptual self, become more comfortable with the reality of your own death. Ask yourself, how will the world be different and better when I'm gone? What influence will I have? In summary, you are great, not because of what you can do, but because you continue to choose what to give up about and what not to. There is nothing to be afraid of, ever. Thank you for joining me for my second business book club. I'll be back again on the last Friday of next month to recap another book. For more information on this and other selections, go to the Business Book Club page at coremarketingnow.com, Business Book Club, or follow along on social media at Core Marketing Now. Cheers!